Okay, we're going to go over the K2 Trevor Leach series system. First, look at the main case. Main case has the PV IPR 1600 DSP amplifier. Then right above it is your BBE processor, which controls and enhances the mains, highs, and lows, as well as having a complete subwoofer control on the left side. Your custom LED fans, dual wireless 100-channel UHF clear scan microphones. Above that is a microphone mixer, then your power conditioner. You'll also notice that a laptop sitting on the top. That is just for display purposes. The customer has their own laptop, but you'll also notice that there's a custom, it's actually a huge LED fan underneath to cool the laptop. Then we have the microphone stands, which is just for display purposes so that we could display the wireless handheld microphones. You have your PVX 12 passive speakers. Then you have your PVX 15 powered sub. And typically what we're doing is we're taking the EQs here, as well as the processor down here, and we're processing the mains, which are the two 12-inch speakers, to have a little less bass, and then allow the subwoofer to carry most of the bass for the bottom end. You'll notice that we also have an LCD stand up. That's just for demonstration purposes as well. We're going to go over each piece of equipment here from bottom till top. Like I said, you have the PV IPR 1600 DSP amplifier. That basically has its own processor built in. Currently we have the amplifier down, it's a little hard to see, but it's down to minus 10 dB. So that means you can move these knobs to the right to turn it up a little bit louder if you're doing DJ and need more power. But in the case of doing karaoke, you really don't have to have it at full power. Then, like I said, you have the processor right above. And what this does is you have a low contour and a high contour. That's basically your lows and your highs. So as you adjust this, you'll notice a difference in the sharpness of the highs, mids, and lows. You'll also notice that I have the low contour right at 12 o'clock, basically up and down. And then I have the highs just a little bit higher, enhanced more that way. And that's more so because over to the left, we have full control over the subwoofer. So you control the volume right here and then the type of frequency. And you could mess around with this and test different frequencies. And what happens is as you go higher, the higher frequencies that it goes up, it will allow vocals to pass through the subwoofer as well. So typically we keep it right around here, and then you just dial in the sub. When you're doing karaoke, you're going to keep it low. When you're doing DJ, you just adjust it and get used to it based upon the songs. And then of course, like we mentioned, you have the custom LED fans. Then above it you have the dual channel clear scan. It's 100 channels. Right now it's on channel 96 and channel 1. And then your handhelds will show that it's also on those channels. And when it's off, it's in a mute mode. Once you turn the microphone on, the mute sign will disappear. In the event that you get static, you hear something coming in and out, you could hold this button down, auto, until it blinks, and then it will go through all 100 channels and find a channel that's best suited for that room. In fact, when you get it, I would tell you to scan the room, and then you change it on the handheld. Then above it, you have your microphone mixer. It has a dual EQ. Over to the right here, it has your master mic volume, your low, mid sweep, mid, and high. So all four of these right here are going to control basically the EQ of your microphone. Then below it, you'll see what's called a pan knob. That pan knob, you really don't have to do anything with it unless you were putting one speaker in one room and another one in another room, and you only want it to run one at a time. Then you have the amount of echo that you put into the microphones, and then the repeat delay is basically what it does is it adjusts the microphone to have a certain depth on the echo. And I already set it for you, but you can mess around with that as well. Then you have microphone 1, 2, and 3. In the case of this system, we plugged up the patch cables instead of in the front here, we plugged them up in the back. So volume 2 and volume 3 is what's going to control wireless 1 and wireless 2. And on the handheld, you'll see that we labeled it mic 2 and mic 3. So this is open to put a corded mic in without any issues. Then you have the power conditioner. Typically, all you're going to do when you're powering up this system, you have your main power strip and your amplifier. What we would tell you to do, if we were powering this down right now, we would power down the amplifier first, then we would power down the power conditioner. Then the reverse, when you're powering the system back up, you're going to power the power conditioner up first and then the amplifier last. And what that does is it actually minimizes the chances of a spike. So you're looking at the power conditioner again. You'll see that you have the 2 light tubes here. And you have the power right here. You could turn that on, you could dim it. Basically what that is when it's dark, it'll help illuminate the system. But you always want to make sure this is off when you're not using it. Because as long as this power conditioner is plugged in, you're always going to get power to it, and those lights will stay on if this switch is engaged. Okay, here's the wireless microphone that we spoke about earlier. When you turn the wireless mic on, you press and hold this in until it powers up. Then if you're changing the channels, what you're going to do is the left button, you press, hold it until it blinks, and then you can change the channels and then push this again and it will set it. Now we're going to go around to the back of the system and I'm going to go over the hookups. Like I said, for demonstration purposes, we have the TV hooked up. In this case, we're not using the video right now, but typically VGA for this one. If you have a laptop that has HDMI, you can use the HDMI to whatever TV you have. This is your laptop cable, which goes into the headphone jack, and you'll see that it has a cable clamp that allows you to unravel it super easy, way better than your standard straps. Now we go to the back of the system. We're going to look in the back of the system here. You'll see at the top right here, that's your power strip where you plug everything in. Then you have your second unit. That's the back of the microphone mixer. You'll notice that we have 2 sets of plugs there. So what we're going to do is over to the left, right here, is what's called the Mix 1. Mix 1 comes out here, goes down to here, to the inputs of the processor. That's the BBE processor. So you have left and right channel A and B inputs. Then it automatically comes right back out from channel A and B, and then goes to channel A and B of the amplifier. And chances are you won't mess with any of this, but this is so you understand the hookups in the back. Then over to the right, you'll see when we talked about the subwoofer control in the front of the processor, this is the back of the processor where basically it's just a 1/4 inch plug. And then it goes down to the powered sub, right here, 1/4 inch. When you're doing karaoke, most likely you'll have the subwoofer probably right around here, which is a 12 o'clock position. Then over to the right is basically a crossover section. We already set that. And then down here is the depth of the bass. And then you also have other outputs here if you ever wanted to link another set of subs. You'll notice that we have the left and right speaker plugged in here. These are basically twist on. So all you do when you're taking it off, you're twisting it to the right, bringing it out. So you're lining it up, make sure it's in, twist it to the right. That's how you get those both to go in there. And then it has the cable ties, which allows you to roll it up and set it right in here when you're putting the system away. Then we'll go up to the back of the speaker. You'll notice that it has 2 types of inputs. It has 1/4 inch and the speak on. We chose to use the better connection for this system. Now let's say you had 4 speakers and you wanted to daisy chain them. You could potentially go from the amplifier speak on to 1/4 inch here and then do speak on to another speaker that has this, and that would allow you to daisy chain them. So this is basically the hookup of the system. I'm going to go around to the front again and talk about the EQ section because that's very important. On this particular piece, it has 2 EQs, which is left and right. So when you're turning up the volume, you're turning up the volume on this side and that side at the same time. Now, what's the pros and cons to this? This was built so that you have flexibility. Let's say you're in a basement and you actually have two rooms. One has a pool table in it. The other has the main entrance, as well as like if you're at a bar, you have a room that has a pool table, then one room that you're doing the singing in. Yet you want to put sound in the other room, and you split the speakers, so you're able to control the volume separately. Or you could turn these up. You could turn this up to say around 5, and then you could actually control the volume of the speakers from here if you wanted to. So you have two ways of doing that. As far as the volume knobs on your wireless microphones, because we have the system set up going through the microphone mixer, these are no longer in use. So they won't do anything, so you won't have to mess around with that. Then we'll go over the buttons in the front. You basically have 3 buttons here. You have what's called a vocal cancel, and what that is it's only used for karaoke songs that you could take vocals out. But typically if you're using a computer and you have a full-blown software, you already have all that stuff that you need. You'll notice the source. Right now, the cable that's going to the laptop is coming out of the CDG output in the back of this microphone mixer. So I have this pressed down for CDG. But let's say you wanted to play an iPod and you didn't want to unplug the laptop, you could put another cable in the back there and then just switching back and forth here. And then this, of course, is an echo button, which allows you to kill the echo so you don't hear any of it. The only time you'd really do that is if you're only doing standard speech and so forth. So that's pretty much it on the system.